Good morning, gang. Happy Saturday morning. So I have a very, very serious question for you this morning. How prepared are you to deal with extreme violence this fall? When I'm talking about extreme violence, I mean in the lines of Portland from a few years ago, or Minneapolis after George Floyd, or Kenosha, Wisconsin, and Kyle Rittenhouse, that kind of violence. How prepared are you for it? Because you pretty much have to be blind to not see it's coming, okay? In the last few days, we had the Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity, and that brought all the wackos out, including a Supreme Court justice, practically calling for Trump's assassination, okay? I mean, Sonia Sotomayor basically said it, that, well, gee, there's nothing holding a president back from having SEAL Team 6 go and assassinate a political rival. Gee, I wonder who that would mean from a liberal justice while you have a liberal president losing to a conservative. Gee, maybe you want to talk about a sitting member of Congress, Zoe Lofgren from California, who called for the same thing. Maybe you want to take a look at the Fruit Loop that is Harry Sisson on Twitter, the big paid Democrat social media influencer that the DNC pays to get all the Zoomers to see the great things that Biden has done. I'm still waiting for him to name one, calling for his assassination. Maybe you could take a look at Hollywood. I'm going to show you this one. This is what Bette Midler put out yesterday. I regret to inform you that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has been arrested. A number of other House members of the House Republican Conference have been taken into custody. Jim Jordan, unfortunately, attempted to resist arrest. After wrestling with an FBI agent, he met a tragic fate. In the sudden absence of those members, there's a new majority in the House. I look forward to a long and cooperative relationship. I can say proudly, gridlock is at last broken, and we can all give thanks to the Supreme Court. This is Bette Midler calling for the death of members of Congress. Okay. This is what we're coming to. This is how unhinged the left is over this whole thing. I don't know if any of you watched the 22-minute George Stephanopoulos interview yesterday. Okay. I will give Georgie a little credit here. It wasn't the softball questions I thought it was going to be. But Joe instilled no confidence in anybody, if they actually listened to it, about his presidency. He's still lost, has no comprehension of reality. Some of his great quotes were, he put Putin in his place. Last time I checked, for 2.5 years, the war is still going, and it doesn't look like Putin's slowing down anytime soon. So I wouldn't say you've put Putin in his place. Putin hasn't backed down whatsoever from attacking Ukraine. Okay, so no, he didn't do any of that. Joe's now claiming he created 15 million jobs. It's funny because the unemployment number that came out yesterday is the highest it's been since COVID. 2021. Okay. Yeah, no, Joe. Sorry, you haven't created any jobs, I've said. And the numbers have probably changed by now, probably gotten worse. But I think it was as of March's BLS number that 78,000 less Americans have jobs now than they had before COVID. Okay, before Biden took office. The funniest one, though, I've got to say, from the interview yesterday, was when Stephanopoulos asked Biden, about what are you going to do to change the narrative? And he's like, look at today, look at the crowd I had, the enthusiasm. And George pushed back on him. He goes, I wouldn't go toe-to-toe. Trump can draw huge crowds. And Joe's like, but look at mine. Yeah, it was in a middle school gymnasium. There were about 600 people there. They make it look really good because they'll give you a tight picture. Yeah, when Trump is filling arenas, basketball arena, hockey arena, places that seat 20,000 some odd people, and not everybody can get in. That's a little different than a middle school gymnasium. I mean, I went to a Trump rally back in 2016. We were in Utah, and we got there a couple hours ahead of time. The line was nearly a mile long. And fortunately, there was a separate line for veterans, and we got in pretty quick. But how prepared are you for violence? Because when they lose, you think George Floyd was important to them? No. But globalism, communism, socialism, liberalism, progressivism is extremely important to them. And just like Bette Midler said, or Sonia Sotomayor said, or Zoe Lofgren said, there is no limit to what they're going to do. Now, trying to get to a sitting president or a president-elect, or even an ex-president, because he still has Secret Service protection, is pretty damn difficult, okay? This isn't the days of walking up to somebody in a theater and no problem, like Abraham Lincoln. This isn't even like the 1980s and shooting Reagan. No, now it's bulletproof glass everywhere and nowhere to be seen amongst the public without God knows what in the way of protection. It's funny how the liberals are the ones that call for gun control all over the place, at the same time calling for the assassination of their opponents, right? Okay. Gee, I wonder what they plan on using. How prepared are you when the election doesn't go their way? If there is an election, and God knows if they aren't going to cheat on it, okay, where they start rioting in the streets. Now, where are you? Maybe you're in a deep red state. There are hardly any liberals that live around you. Me, okay. You don't worry about it too much. But I can go an hour south of here, go into the city, and it's, like every other city, heavily liberal. What's going to happen if you're down there, if you live there? How prepared are you to protect what's yours? Whether it's your car, your house, your life. Do you have what it is in here and what it is in here to do it? To have a person on the other end is a lot different than having a paper silhouette. I will just say that. Do you have what it takes to protect yourself? If you don't, you better get your mind straight quick, because the person on the other side has no qualms whatsoever about throwing Molotov cocktails, shooting people, attacking, whatever. Especially if you are older. Okay? Remember, the loony left loves to blame the boomers, we hear that all the time, and they love to blame Generation X, not as much as the boomers, for all the problems in the world. It's all our fault, and I'm right on that cusp, okay? I'm a year off, I'm a year into Gen X. So I'm right on that cusp. It's all our fault that Joe screwed up the world, okay? You get some 20-year-old who inevitably, chances are, let's put it that way, I won't say inevitably, chances are, is in better physical shape than somebody in their 60s, 70s. Okay. How are you going to be able to fight back? Are you prepared to do so? You better be able to not let him come within 50 feet of you. That's all I'm going to say. You figure out how to separate that distance on your own. They're going to do something. Like I said, whether it's Portland or Kenosha or Minneapolis or St. Louis or any other of the cities that burn, okay, you think it was bad over some nobody. Wait till they lose an election. Remember how they were screaming bloody murder. I mean, there were literally places where you could go and scream because Hillary lost. Hillary lost to Donald Trump. What happens when they lose to him again? They aren't going to put up with it. And the problem is, you're going to have the Kamala Harrises and the Maxine Waters and the Nancy Pelosi's, just like last time, who are all going to support the violence. Remember, they did, okay? Maxine Waters told everybody to get in the face of Republicans. Kamala Harris was putting out requests to pay the bail of the rioters in Minnesota. They support this. They're not going to be able to get to Trump. Okay, security's just going to, Secret Service and private security and whatever for the whole family. They're not going to get there. You and I are the next best thing for them. They don't care. Again, you have to remember their value, the value they put on human life. Their whole belief is we need to depopulate the world. That the world would be a better place if there aren't people, right? Climate change. This is it. We have to get rid of people. People are the problem. This is what they want to do. They have no qualms whatsoever about doing this. There's enough radical leftists out in this country that fall into the same category as radical Islamists. I wouldn't put it past the liberals to pull some of the same stunts. Not necessarily saying flying a plane into a building, but I don't know, Boston Marathon, that I could see, right? Do something like that. This is their mindset. It's my way or die to them. As I've said many times, don't go looking for a fight. I'm certainly not going to. But if it comes to you, it's up to you. The cops ain't coming. The military ain't coming. Okay? By the time they get there to look at it, inevitably weeks later, it's an investigation as to who did it, and nobody's ever going to really care because the event is over. It's up to you to protect yourself and your property and your family from the unhinged leftists. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't some unhinged conservatives too, all right? There are. There's no question. To paraphrase, there's bad people on both sides. The problem is the unhinged conservatives aren't the ones that go out burning, looting, and murdering. There are a lot of people pissed off about the cheat in 2020. I don't remember a single story about people blowing up buildings or shooting other people when Biden cheated his way to the White House. But boy, I sure remember stories like that in 2016. What do you think's going to happen in 2024? Because We're a lot more polarized now than we were then. Like we've said many times, it's going to be an interesting summer. It's getting worse and worse and worse. The match is real close to the fuse, guys. Just be ready physically. In other words, have whatever you need. Train with whatever you have so you can use it efficiently. But get yourself prepared mentally. Because, like I said, it ain't going to be a paper target in front of you. And that is going to be one of the most difficult decisions you ever have to make in your life, to move your index finger half an inch. There's people that aren't going to be able to do it. But you have to stop and think about one thing. It's either them or me in that situation. How important is your life to you? You got to take care of number one, because ain't nobody else going to do it for you. Pinball out.